Hello, everyone, and welcome to Innovation Coffee. My name is Robert Wolff.
And I'm Gabriel Peterson.
And we are here to talk to you about all the cool and exciting things that are happening in and around the ARM ecosystem. This is our weekly live stream that happens every single Thursday at 5 p.m. UTC, where the coffee is hot and the innovation is hotter. And I'm looking for my coffee, but I realized I already finished it. Darn it. But yes, so this week we have some very exciting guests to join us, and I don't want to mess up their titles or where they work, so I'm going to read it off right here. We have Peter Ng, who is not only a senior mechatronics engineer out of Ingenuity IoT, which is a startup, I'm told, but he is also one of our esteemed ARM ambassadors. We also have David Tischler, who is part of the marketing team. He is a developer evangelist, developer advocate at Edge Impulse. We also have Rob Lauer, which is the director of developer relations at Blues Wireless. Now, all three of these folks are going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about lots of exciting things, and of course, getting to know them as engineers, as advocates, as developers, as well as their companies and the things that they are doing with the ARM technologies that are available. Now, I want to remind everyone that if you are joining us live, we do have our YouTube chat. Feel free to post your questions in the chat, be it for Gabriel, myself, or any of our guests. We'll get to those questions as soon as we possibly can, as well as if you are watching on demand, you can post in the comments section, and you can we'll do our best to get those questions answered. Now, if you're enjoying this stream, make sure you hit that like button, whether it's live or on demand. You can smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the ARM Software Developers YouTube channel. And you'll be getting access to all sorts of content like this throughout the weeks, throughout the months, and throughout the year. We have lots of cool stuff going out kind of pretty frequently. So you'll be able to see lots of stuff like that. Now, I have a little bit of exciting news that I want to share before I bring on the guests. Gabe and I have been, I want to say, somewhat working tirelessly to get a new studio.
It is way more time consuming than you would think.
Yes. Yeah. So we are very fortunate in that, ARM has taken a liking to these live streams, and they asked us if we were interested in, kind of upping the production. As you can see, Gabe and I are kind of almost shoulder to shoulder here.
I'm in a folding chair.
He's in a folding chair from my patio. This is all very ad hoc in terms of how we do these things right now. Now, don't get me wrong. We have some nice equipment and everything, but we've spent the last month or two, probably.
It's a little longer than 2 months, actually.
Yeah, we've been hunting for a floor space, a small office where we can actually build a legitimate streaming studio. And right now, we finally signed our lease. We left our deposit, and we have a nice office building with a great studio space just down the street from my house here. And we will be hopefully moving in on there within the first week of June. We've gotten permission to fly our creative team down from San Jose. They're going to help us build a really nice set there. So we're going to have a nice backdrop. We have these really cool podcast desks, new microphones, new cameras. We'll pull out the Stream Deck. We'll have all sorts of overlays. Lots of exciting things happening over the course of this next month. So you can compare the before and then you'll compare the after. Once we get this stuff going, it should be a nice upgrade, not only for us, but for you all watching. There should be some exciting stuff going on. Now, I think it's time to bring the guests in. You okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's bring in first Peter Ng. Welcome, Peter Ng. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Yourself?
Excellent. Thank you. We have Rob Lauer. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right there, Rob.
Yep, perfect.
Excellent. All right. And David Tischler, the one and only.
Hello, everybody. You guys are talking about Robert, Gabriel. Sorry to totally hijack conversation, but you're talking about upgrading the studio. I was just impressed at the upgraded introduction video. I think last time I was on, we didn't even have that.
No, yeah, no.
This is getting serious.
Yeah, the creative team we have at ARM, which I was not even aware about until this last year. They're amazing. I mean, I want to give a massive amount of credit to them. Like, they put all of that together with themselves. Like, we didn't really even give any input. They just looked at some of our previous innovation coffees, and they put that all together for us, along with our new ARM bot kind of a scheme, you could call it.
Yeah, they're just killing it with the designs.
Yeah.
I love it. Although I did notice that only Robert was mentioned in that video. Gabe.
Well, yeah, and Mike not as isn't mentioned either. They are actually doing a new video. So you say it's the new video. That's the old video that's getting replaced.
Yeah, that's the old new video.
Yeah.
Old new. Okay, I got to keep up better.
Yeah, in fact, the way it's actually going to work going forward, David, Peter and Rob is Michael. So now we have a team of developer evangelists, right? It's me, Gabriel, and Michael Hall. Now, Gabriel is actually going to be hosting 1 episode a month. Michael is going to be hosting 1 episode a month. I'll co-host all of them, and then I'll be full hosting one. So like, let's just assume there's 4 episodes in every month. Like, I'll be hosting one with either Gabriel or Mike. I'm sorry, 2 with either Gabriel or Mike as my co-host. Gabe will host one with me as his co-host, or Mike, and so on. So we're kind of creating some depth around the broadcast, allowing me to maybe take a Thursday off every now and then. So that'll be nice. But for the most part, I think it just kind of like creates a little bit more of a different perspective when it comes to the questions that are being asked and the hosts and the guests who are being brought on, because Gabe will be bringing on his own guest. Instead of seeing David here 20 times a year, you might see some, you might see some new people.
It's only 10. It's only 10.
Yeah, but no, very cool. And David, I love your green screen. You have like people moving behind
this
you.
is not. It's the real thing.
All right. Okay, so let's start off as we usually do here. Origin stories. Now we want to hear kind of the origin story for each of you. What do you do for the company you work? Who are you? What do you do? What's the company you work for? What do you do for them? And then maybe a fun anecdote about yourself. This is for those people who may be watching who have no idea who you are and want to listen to you for the next 45 minutes or so. Let's start with you. Peter, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do?
Okay, so by day I have a job working in a retail space, looking after automation and control and mechatronics and all those things. And then by night I have my second hat on where I run my startup and doing IoT, embedded systems, and obviously TinyML. And also I'm Edge Impulse ambassador or expert now, we call it. And then also with Blues, a Blues amplifier. Somebody actually asked me a question on the internet about that. Actually asked me, am I like building audio amps? And then, and also TinyML Foundation. I work with the TinyML Foundation and building the communities here in South Africa for TinyML. So quite a lot of stuff. And of course now with ARM Engage, through ARM Engage, emerging markets program to train and develop people with embedded systems and up their skills. So with Stephen and Marvin, so yeah, it's quite a lot of things to keep busy. David knows I'm up late all the time.
Yeah, so you have your day job, then you have the was it you said ambassador, or what is the title for Edge Impulse?
Expert, was it expert, David? What do we call it now? Expert?
Yeah, Expert Network is the ambassador program. Peter does content creation, does a lot of community engagement, community building locally in South Africa. I mean, he can talk to you all about that. But Expert Network is what we call our ambassador program.
Okay, cool. Very cool. And then you are also an ARM ambassador. So you wear a lot of hats.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yes.
Very cool. And so for those of you who are listening right now and you want to get involved with if you want to get involved with Edge Impulse,
Too soon.
Get involved with Edge Impulse. Peter and David are your people here. All right, David, let's go with you next. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days.
Yeah, I'll make it quick because your audience has heard this story about 1,000 times already. But I'm on the developer relations team. I handle our community and our ambassador program at Edge Impulse. Edge Impulse is a platform for all things TinyML, from the data set collection, data curation, labeling, creation of model, and deployment of model to, tiny little devices like I'll show today, which is a Seed Studio Grove Vision AI. Rob, I'll have some of your stuff available as well. But yeah, all things community at Edge Impulse.
So I'm seeing something here that I'm wondering. First of all, you said you'll have my stuff. Does that mean you still have my racks over there?
Oh, I was talking to Rob. I was talking to Rob. I have
Rob.
the other Rob. Sorry. Got some
Gotcha.
blues
Okay.
It's ready to go.
Cool. No worries. This is perfect. All right. So we do have a demo to show possibly, or is this just kind of like a hardware showcase?
Well, I said some prayers to the demo gods. We'll see what happens.
We'll give it a shot.
But actually, you know what I'm mostly concerned about is time, because I know that Peter has a lot of good talking points and Rob has a lot of good talking points. I'm just here for comedy relief. I don't actually. So
you and me both, David. You and me both.
So I don't know how much we'll get to. These guys have a lot of stuff that they can.
All right, cool. Yeah, so we have some people in the audience saying hello. It looks like, hey, this is Sahaj, Geek Till It Hurts saying hi. Mark Badeau, David Walmroth, saying hello. Hey, woohoo! Marcin and Sahaj are here. I don't know what Marcin means by, forget to mention the bell. I think YouTube got rid of the bell. I think this is just the thumbs up now. But yeah, very cool. And then Michael Hall, who of course is watching us from the green room here and also it looks like on YouTube. So cool. Incognito says hello. And Expert Systems. Maybe that's what you're calling the folks. Maybe that's what he was referring to when you were talking about the Edge Impulse program. Network. All right, Rob, you're up next. Last but not least, hello, Rob. And please, could you give us your origin stories?
Yeah, for sure. First, I want to say I'm honored to be a part of one of the last unfancy Innovation Coffee episodes, I guess. So yeah, my name is Rob Lauer. I'm Director of Developer Relations at Blues, and we are a wireless IoT company. We can talk more about that later. But in terms of what we're doing on the developer relations team, many of you probably already know this. We do a lot of one-on-one developer interaction. We're responsible for kind of curating our developer community, building guides and tutorials, anything we can do to kind of enable our developers at Blues. And we do a lot of work with Edge Impulse and other partners as well. So I'm a huge fan of Edge Impulse. In fact, my first ML projects were all built using the tools and services provided by Edge Impulse. So I'm a big fan. Quick personal anecdote. I will say that I have a pit in my stomach right now because in about a week and a half, I'm officiating my sister's wedding, which is something new to me. So I'm kind of freaking out about this, trying not to let it distract me in my day-to-day, but something I didn't realize you could get ordained in about 10 seconds online. Another thing I learned. So
I've done that. Correct. I also officiated a wedding after, signing up for an official certification from some organization that no longer exists, I'm sure.
It's so funny that you say this, Rob, because I'm the best man at a wedding that's happening on June 3rd. And the officiate for their wedding, which is another friend of ours, because I'm the best man, they were having another friend do the officiate. They asked me if I would be the officiate. And so I'm like, oh, sure. Yeah, why not? Let me just take on this whole other task. And it's while getting ordained is easy, the next thing you know, the bride wants to see my speech. I have to get what kind of vows, how long do they want my speech to be, plus the ceremony. And it becomes a little bit more than you had originally thought it would be, or at least how originally I thought it would be, right?
It's a whole thing. You realize all the different components of a wedding ceremony. You're like, what did I sign up for? But
yes. But I guess they like that I'm a funny guy. And they think I'll add some character to the talk or something. I don't know.
Well, Peter, that leaves you. You need to deliver a wedding.
Oh my word! So you get ordained literally almost.
It takes like 30 minutes. It takes like 30 minutes. You do like a quick course and then you take a test. It's pretty hard to fail, from what I understand.
And then what are you like? Are you like a father or something after that, or
you get whatever you want to be?
You can create any title you want.
Wow!
You have the ability. You have the ability to legally sign the marriage certificate, which then they can bring to the state house to get, officially declared as married. But yeah, wow. So it's pretty easy.
That's definitely something in the USA, not where I live. Like we don't know.
Yeah. With the big, I want to say melting pot of religions and stuff in the US, it's kind of like they kind of put that aside and just said, the legalities of it are separate from the church side of it. So you can still go get church married, but this is the legal side of it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ordained.
No pressure.
Yeah. So actually that's what we need to probably do. We need to create an ordainment for for ARM ambassadors. Everyone's going to have to
Yes.
go through that process.
Yes.
I'm sure Gemma would love that idea.
Yeah. All right. So, gentlemen, let us move on into the next section here where we learn a little bit more about your companies. Again, I kind of want to maybe go in order. We touched a little bit on it during the origin stories, but let's get that bird's eye view. Ingenuity IoT, Edge Impulse, Blues Wireless. Let's talk about the companies as a whole so that then we can dive a little deeper into each one of these. But I do think that since David was flashing some hardware, since I look at Rob's desk, I don't know what you have hidden under there. Peter, maybe you have something, but if not, I think we should do just a real quick icebreaker round. I want to get to know what you guys have in your rooms there. Can we see some of this hardware? This is the Innovation Coffee Crib segment. Maybe just show off some of that. I see some stuff you got on your desk back there, Rob.
I've got limitless things I could show.
Rob's
I'll show the more ridiculous set of components here. So I've wired up.
Here, we got to bring this.
This is kind of interesting because I built this is at least partially what I built recently to monitor chicken eggs in my neighbor's chicken coop. So the quick story is it's not hooked up here, but I had a thermal imaging camera, and I would take a picture every 15 minutes or something to train an ML model with Edge Impulse, of course, to be able to detect whether or not a chicken egg was in the nest. And of course, using our cellular module here to relay that data to the cloud. But there's some other like extra components, like I have an SD card or SD reader here with an SD card to store the images. I've got a microcontroller, ST-based microcontroller, something to power it to, and I can talk about the blue stuff later. But yeah, just kind of a fun, like, and a little display here to show the image as well. So
was this with your neighbor's permission?
It was actually, yes.
Okay.
I did have to make sure I got permission.
Good question.
Yes. David, what about you? You got something to show off here? Or we're going to wait for this one?
I don't. You know what? I mean, it's a. I'll grab it real quick. This is a Seed Grove Vision AI board. This is a little. Let's see if it'll focus. Yeah, this is just a little TinyML board. It uses a HiMax image processing sensor, so we can actually run inferencing on this little device. And also very important.
You just bring that to the center.
Rob knows. Rob and Peter know what I'm getting. Yes, I did. I literally brought him to the community center with me today. People were staring.
Is this like your kind of like rubber ducky debugging?
Yeah, it's my good luck charm.
Peter, you got something else, David, or
Yeah,
Peter, you
no.
got something too?
Nope.
Yeah, so I'm not at my home base right now. So I've got with me in my bag. I have obviously a note carrier, Blues note carrier with a little BME 611. I soldered it onto something. A BME 611 gas sensor, Bosch gas sensor. That's that. And then what else I have is this thing here, Arduino PLC for industrial control. So I carry it with me wherever I go because it's an interesting talking point to guys that work in mechatronics and automation to see there's actually an Arduino PLC. So wow. Yeah, so it's quite nifty actually. It's very cool. So that's basically what I have with me right now. And I think I have also here this box here. I have a Raspberry Pi 4. These things are like gold. 416 gig. Yeah. See, you can't have it. You can't get it. 16 gig. Yeah, I'm actually wanting to experiment with Windows 11 on here, so that's why I carry it with me. So
yeah, I have Windows 11 running on a Raspberry Pi 4 right now. I was doing it to just run Unity, trying different ways to run Unity on single board computers. It feels like you're doing an affront to God when you do it. And
what does that mean?
Oh, it feels like it shouldn't be done.
Oh, you're breaking the
blasphemy.
Yeah, blasphemy.
Is it? I haven't started the process yet. I've been meaning to every day, like download the image, flash it, but I see there's a tool you have to use. We have to pull it down or something. I haven't quite figured that out yet.
There's a Discord devoted to it. If you go to like the primary website, and they're really helpful. Last I heard, it's still lacking Wi-Fi and GPU support, but other than that, it's functional.
All right. Cool. All right. So now, yeah, that was a nice tangent off of the original topic here. Let's get to know Ingenuity IoT. So Peter, let's start with you. Tell us about Ingenuity IoT. Feel free to take a minute or two if you'd like, talking about the company, what you guys do there.
Okay, cool. So this is a startup that I started up with my partner Chantal. We started up as a company where I was actually looking to do IoT projects. So what happened is I've been doing a lot of side hustle work over the years with embedded, because I started out loving embedded. When I started engineering, I loved embedded systems. I loved the good old-fashioned PIC microcontroller, if anybody remembers that, and the AVRs and stuff. And then I kind of discovered the ARM stuff in about 2012, 2013. There was a nice book, I remember, with a red cover explaining the ARM architecture, and it was like, wow. And then I started doing a lot of work for people, consulting, basically people who built projects with Arduino and want to actually convert it to more low-level embedded, or people who want little prototypes done, little ad hoc things. And then I discovered IoT in about 2015 with Lauer, and then that's when I decided to make it into an IoT-focused venture. And then I spent some time with Sigfox, looking at Sigfox, and then eventually TinyML came along, and that distracted everything from IoT, and I just left the IoT stuff and been working with TinyML for the last 3 to 4 years. And then obviously now with Blues, that's now bringing the IoT component back in again, and I'm looking to actually do some more to utilize that in my future solutions, to build to do that. So it's basically a little startup, and obviously I have a day job, so the day job pays the bills. So it's nice to have the flexibility to actually do something on the side without the pressure, like to survive. But it's getting to a point where I'm thinking to myself, I'm enjoying this more. David, like I said, David knows I'm like a mad person with a gazillion tabs open. So it's like, at some point in the future, it'd be nice to actually go full time into this. So that's kind of like the direction I'm moving in. So, and then of course, by day I work in a giant retail space, looking at technology and innovation. And basically, if you think of like an Amazon type warehouse, that kind of environment with your conveyor systems and your control systems and all that stuff is quite cool. There's actually a lot of ARM stuff I found in that space as well. No one actually even knows about that. It's like when you open up a PLC, you actually find ARM chips in the cards, in the communication cards. You find STM32s. You find a lot of releases as well. So yeah, a lot of people don't actually know that ARM is even in industry, so in industrial space. So that's why I like this. The ARM's everywhere, exactly. That's why I like this kind of concept of, because that whole industrial world is like another ecosystem on its own, to bring the two together as well, to make it more open and accessible to everybody, because it's usually been a specific skill set. You have to know specific languages and environments and stuff. So I think the worlds are colliding now. So it's quite cool, actually.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah. Well, so that's basically me in a nutshell.
Thank you for that. Who wants to go next? Rob or David?
I'm happy to go.
Let's go, Rob.
So yeah, let's talk about Blues Wireless. Actually, the first thing I wanted to address one of the questions I saw show up in chat. Often Blues people have to explain that they are not Blues with a Z. So this is very poignant, because we're actually going through a rebranding, and Blues Wireless is going to become just Blues, which I hope eases some of this confusion, because there's a lot of other companies we learned that there's like a Blue Wireless. There's another like BLU something. So we are going through new logos, new colors, new branding coming soon.
New color? What kind of new color could you possibly choose?
I know.
It has to be.
Isn't that crazy?
What, you can't have a red logo or a green logo.
But yeah, we are blue, right?
We're a wireless IoT company. We're not selling cell phone plans like at your mall kiosks or anything. We are an IoT company at our core. What's interesting is we're founded and currently led by Ray Ozzie, who's a bit of a software legend. He's the guy who took over for Bill Gates back in the day as chief software architect at Microsoft. He kicked off Azure and all that. And he's all around great guy, especially if you're listening. Hi, Ray. But the Blues backstory is actually kind of interesting, if I can tell that really quickly. In a nutshell, I might get some of the details wrong here, but Ray was involved with a nonprofit called Safecast, and they are effectively a citizen science nonprofit who were focused on publicizing radiation monitoring data after the Fukushima disaster. So in many ways, Blues was really born out of Fukushima and out of Ray's experience with Safecast, because he realized how difficult this like low power, low bandwidth cellular was to add to a given project, not to mention the costs and everything. So fast forward to a few years, we have a startup now with like 60-ish people, I believe it is, kind of building out Ray's vision.
So Blues came out of an unfortunate disaster. And what I'm trying to get at here is, I guess, or understand here, is that you can't send in humans into these, massively radiation impacted areas. But is this also to say that certain frequencies weren't available there, and that you had to focus on? I mean, I'm trying to understand here. So, like, what was you kind of touched on it, but I'm trying to understand. Like, okay, so what was the exact reason that Blues came out of this?
It was more of like the technical implementation. So the fact that when you're adding a cellular modem, I think it's easy to discount the complexity involved with cellular. This is like, kind of new to me since I joined Blues as well. Is like, it's not just a modem that you're adding. There's so many other components involved, especially when you're managing power and you're managing bandwidth. And then you're also using like an archaic syntax, the AT commands, to manage your modem and manage the connection. So Ray realized like all of these complexities were just causing immense amount of frictions for something that in 2023 like should be pretty much turnkey, right? Like connectivity should not be something that we're spending loads of time on anymore. Like this should be a solved problem.
Yes, absolutely. All right, cool. Well, thank you, Rob. I think a great summary there. And David, again, up to you, Edge Impulse.
Yeah, that's interesting real quickly, Rob, because we take for granted Wi-Fi or even just plugging in an Ethernet cord to a computer or like a Raspberry Pi or whatever. And of course, cellular on your smartphone, but actually implementing cellular connectivity into a device, whether it's a microcontroller or Raspberry Pi style single board computer, without something like Blues, or there's other options as well, but it can be a nightmare. So yes, Blues makes it very easy to just get connected over cellular.
I mean, David, like, what was it? Sorry for interrupting here, but like, remember when we built that Extreme Edge device, right?
Exactly.
And we had to add that mezzanine board to the Dragon board.
That was an early, sort of rudimentary now in comparison implementation. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what Blues is solving for. That was, like multiple mezzanines on top of a Dragon board. I mean, that goes back a number of years now, but actually getting it up and running to gain connectivity used to be a nightmare. It still can be in certain aspects. But so Blues has helped solve a lot of those challenges. To just slap it on and it works, like Wi-Fi, like Ethernet. You had mentioned at the beginning of the show, Robert, I've been around the ARM ecosystem, previously called Innovators, and projects we did for many years now, like Peter. I don't know when we started, 2013, 14, 15. I don't know. It's a blur. But, we did some projects using my own startup brand, Mini Nodes. We've done work while I was at Belina. Belina was an IoT fleet management, it still is, fleet management platform. Most recently now I'm at Edge Impulse, because I sort of began to see this, like you were talking about, Peter, this intersection of IoT and AI and bringing machine learning to small devices. I showed off that little Seed Studio board. It's only this big, and it's able to do computer vision AI inferencing. Years ago, not that many years ago, that would be crazy. You needed a GPU just for inferencing. So you had to have an actual full PC with GPU, and that's just the inferencing, let alone the training. So Edge Impulse is a cloud-based system for training of the models, whether it's raw sensor data, could be audio, could be wake word detection, keyword spotting, or vision projects, images, object detection, image classification, and then building and deployment of the models onto tiny devices, which, like I say, a couple of years ago was virtually impossible. Let me think. What else? It's a pretty good summary.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, Gabe, I know you have some questions you wanted to ask here. So,
Yeah.
please let's go into some of those.
All right. So you were mentioning like incorporating this cellular wireless into projects and how difficult it used to be. Is that one of those things that's easy enough now for like a hobbyist maker to incorporate into their projects? Or is it still kind of intimidating and you need to be an expert in a field?
I mean, what I always say, if somebody is comfortable with sourcing their own modems, programming with AT commands, by all means. We're not trying to say that what we're doing is better for that person. What we're trying to say is we can really accelerate prototypes when companies and individuals don't want to deal with the connectivity piece.
Yeah.
It's also like Blues is like super developer focused. Like we're a team of really technical people. So I say that because like everything we do from our content to our APIs, like are all like trying to be super developer friendly. We're like keenly aware of like the struggles and the friction that developers experience. Yeah. Most of us have like an engineering background as well. So when we talk about like how we try and make cellular easier, like we really are coming from an authentic place. And we think that what we're doing provides a lot of value there. Not to sound too salesy or anything, but
so the gist is if I wanted to create a personal project, I should definitely look at Blues first.
Absolutely. Like, and cost is a big thing for us. Like another reason that we exist is that cellular there's been a lot of hurdles for people to cross because, typically you have to pay, $2, $5 a month for a device that may just sit on your shelf and you may not even use. Where with Blues, the no card comes prepaid with 500 megabytes of global data, 10 years of service. So it's just a one-time, like roughly $50 US. And then you can let it sit on your shelf if you want to for a few months and you're not paying us anything. So we try and make it like just super, buy a starter kit, use it right away if you want. Nothing happens like when you turn it on. It's not like we start counting down anything at that moment, right? Aside from the 10 years of service. But yeah, so it's really meant to be just a really easy way to get into cellular IoT.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would say, in some cases, this is actually what's necessary for startups, for people who are building their first product to showcase, because when you go into, and I'm experiencing this in some ways, right? With some stuff I'm doing on the side, but like what you end up with is a situation where I need to approach investors, but in order to get to the investors, I need to have something to show. You need to have your community growth. You need to have your product growth. You need to have your revenue showing, right? If you can't show all three of those, you at least need to show your product and your community growing, right? And if you can show a working product, right, get to that phase as quickly as possible so that then you can impress the investors, get an influx of money to then possibly go to that next stage. And if you're talking about these companies that are coming out, Blues in particular, that are enabling your ability to now, I could take Edge Impulse, I can take Blues, I can, analyze data, use the AI models, TinyML for Edge Impulse, get all that stuff flowing, then project it onto the cloud or get that data flowing somewhere using the connectivity of Blues very quickly, very easily, low touch, less money to impress an investor. You're on at least that you've at least taken one or two steps in the right direction at that point, right? If you want to go harder, you want to go more hardcore, you want to dive deeper into the technology at that point, you have some money to maybe do it at that point, right? Who knows? Or you just continue to go with Blues, right? I don't know if I said that properly, but at least this is kind of resonating with me as a path to product or a path to VC.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of what we talk about internally and externally is, like I said, accelerating prototypes. Like we are here to kind of solve that really messy connectivity piece, which unfortunately is still messy today, but we're trying to be that company that's providing real authentic value to let you connect. We say any device to any cloud. Well, it kind of is, like it is kind of connecting like any device, whether you're simply gathering sensor data and you want to relay that to your AWS instance, or you're doing something far more fancy, like you've got a ML model deployed to a constrained device and you're generating those inferences locally and you want to just relay that data to Azure or wherever it's, so like that's where we're trying to solve that problem for people. Trying to be like kind of that, solve that messy connectivity piece.
And
I was just going to say, I feel like I was just literally about to tap you in, Peter, because I feel like you are using both of these things, right? Like you're using Edge Impulse, you're using Blues. So you can kind of give this as a perfect example from representing Ingenuity IoT. How does this resonate with you?
Yes, so obviously having looked at many IoT solutions over the years, the ones that are no longer around, even it's messy. Modems, AT commands, sometimes you SDKs, laying out boards and RF design, all this stuff. It becomes messy. One thing I liked about Blues when I saw it immediately was the quick and easy connectivity. You literally send a JSON formatted command over your serial port to the device. That's it. Whether it be from your PC to the Node card, or whether it be from a host microcontroller. Like for example, if you look at the Node KF, it's got a feather compatible board. Like there's the Adafruit Hazard, I think, and then Blues obviously Swan. It's all feather footprint. So I've got a little Arduino sketch running on here, and all this is doing is it's literally just reading the data off the BME sensor, and I'm literally sending it with a simple. I don't have the code to show you, but it's very simple. It's like literally 4 lines of code, and it's sending off to the back end. And then from there you can route it like you can in other platforms. You can route it to AWS, IoT. You can route it via MQTT to your own brokers. You can REST APIs, everything. So it just makes life easier. And of course, Edge Impulse does the same for machine learning. It's just simplifies the process of working with Jupyter notebooks and all that stuff. Like I recently showed an automotive company locally the process of using Edge Impulse just to capture data with their phone. They were doing an inspection type thing, and they were actually wanting to they were using Jetson Nanos, and they were using Basler cameras and all kinds of things like that, and they were actually taking photos from the devices itself using CCTV cameras, and they were like copying the data across, sanitizing it. And then I said to them, just take your phone. You got a nice phone, take a phone, take some samples of the thing, train the model, and deploy it to your Jetson. And they did it, and they were like, wow, it saves so Edge Impulse brings that level of ease in use to and Blues obviously from a data point of view, because it's all about, machine learning is all about data and getting your data into your training workflow. So Blues obviously allows you to easily do that, and obviously there's a feature maybe Rob will talk about to actually bring these two together as well. So it definitely makes life easy. Like you said, Robert, if you want to get your MVP, you want to go get your funding, this allows you to do it quickly. That's what I like about it.
MVP, by the way, stands for minimal viable product, for those of you who didn't know. But yes,
most valuable player.
Most valuable player. In this particular case, minimal viable product. So I did actually want to ask this question to you all here real quick, and maybe Gabe, you too, the audience, anyone watching, feel free to type in your answer. I'd be happy to hear what you all think. I've been in a few debates, and I don't know which side I sit on here, but people have said to me that the future of development is headed towards or converging on the low code, no code kind of model, right? As we kind of progress here, it kind of sounds like this is what's starting to happen, right? You have things like Edge Impulse, which are facilitating your ability to do AI ML without having to actually do AI ML. You have, Blues, which is facilitating connectivity without really having to code connectivity so much. And so we're kind of moving to this place of low code, no code. Is this something that in like 10 years from now, like you may have just a small amount of engineers just tweaking these low code, no code models, and then the vast majority of developers kind of just like plugging in libraries and stuff into their code and not really doing much anymore?
No, I have a definite opinion on this.
Okay.
So I don't think it's shrinking the core developers. I think it's expanding. So with all of these new technologies and models and things coming out, the demand for people who really understand the low level architecture is expanding. Like, it's not like there's less people now that need to build these systems. In fact, you need more people, but it enables more people to build off this system. So it's kind of like technology is everywhere. That doesn't mean that people who are doing embedded programming has shrunk. If anything, the people you need to hire for embedded programming for all these devices is growing.
Yeah, but what happens when like Edge Impulse becomes the monopoly of AI ML? And next thing you know, it's like, well, then they have the core engineers that build this stuff and everyone else just consumes it.
Well, I mean, if they're a giant company, then that means they need a giant number of engineers to support all of that.
Someday.
Yeah. I'm just saying, as low code and no code stuff expands, all it does is the circle gets wider.
Okay, so more people are consuming it, but more people are also creating it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it lowers the barrier to entry for a lot of maker projects, but it doesn't. I don't see
or
it taking away
MVPs
jobs.
or okay, I see. Okay. What about you guys?
I have an opinion. I have an opinion on that. Obviously, you see a lot of focus on teaching kids to code, and like here in South Africa too, there's a push now to teach kids STEM and robotics and coding, and then you have ChatGPT, which is just writing snippets for people. So, for me, it feels like this low code is good because, like you said, it allows you to quickly get your product to market. But then sometimes you need to tweak and go under the hood, and that's where you need the skill. And then sometimes people think that this democratizes it. So in other words, if I'm a guy who's got no embedded skills, very minimal software skills, I could literally in a weekend put together a prototype that an engineer would have taken 3-4 months to do with this TinyML, Blues together, an IoT prototype. So that's the benefit of democratizing it. But like Gabe says, there'll always be the need, and you need to have developers that know the low level, because what happens is you find sometimes people spend too much time learning high level, and then you start to find a lack of skills in the low level. People are moving away from ISAs. They're all working at a high level abstraction, and that's dangerous because then people don't understand what, the core of the Cortex M architecture, for example, and that's where you're going to build some fancy, because I mean everybody's going to build a product, and somebody's going to come up with some really cool way off idea. It's going to require them to tweak their product a little bit more and optimize it more, and that's when they're going to have to get the guy in. Otherwise, everybody's got the same solution, but I want to add something else in. So that's where I think the skill of coding will also stay. But I think you might see like a shift in I don't know, in languages maybe, I don't know, but it's just my opinion. Like people obviously are afraid of C. I picked that up. So maybe Python with C bindings in the back end or something like that will be like open.
C used to be the high level language.
Right.
Now it's like the low level language.
Yes.
I had a developer. Don't do this, by the way. I mean, like, unless you're just doing it for fun. But if you're doing it for your job, don't do it. A developer was using ChatGPT to write code for him. I mean,
I would never do such a thing. Never.
Come on. What the heck is that? And then like complaining when they couldn't figure it out. It's like, no. That's not right.
No.
Anyways, David, Rob, did you want to chime in on this before we ask you more questions on
the only thing I'd add is so we have people internally using, I know this is well known, like GitHub Copilot, and everyone's like, man, it makes you so much more efficient as a developer. And I truly don't think that this is going to put people out of work. I think we're honestly going to get more done. I think it's just going to expand what we're able to do.
Then you got to hire more people. Yeah. David, anything, or we go to the next question?
No, I'm basically in agreement. I think I'm also of the opinion where it simply expands the ecosystem by lowering the barrier to entry. I think it's more people are able to perform tasks and do things that they couldn't previously, and I think that just makes the pie bigger.
And you see, maybe I'm looking too far in the future, but I'm on the side of where the average person at some point in the future will be able to talk into their phone or their computer and say, write me an app of Tetris with colors red, blue, yellow, green, and make it so that it has a picture of me floating on the side. And then next thing you know, the APK is on my phone. And that's where I'm saying like at some point in the future, there may still be a large group of engineers who enable that at some point. But when does the AI just end up doing it for you at some point? Maybe 100 years, maybe 200 years, but that's the true low code, no code. And connect it with Blues Wireless using Edge Impulse TinyML. You know what I mean?
Great plug. Great shameless plug.
All right, cool. Okay, let's do
It could. Okay, so it could be useful in the metaverse if that ever does pick up. You could say in the metaverse, create this little mini game for me, like with ChatGPT or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like at some point, like if we're talking about getting to this whole point where like AI could literally create an app for me, right? Right now, we may like in the short middle term. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Like as this grows, as the low code, no code grows, you need more people supporting the back end. But at some point, the back end has created something so amazing that you almost like obsoleted yourself.
Yes.
Who knows? Anyways, another question. Let's go, Gabe.
Sure. So shifting over to the ML side of things, if I get this correct, Edge Impulse uses TinyML, correct? Or kind of
Peter, you might want to chime in here as well as Rob, Blues Rob. TinyML, I think, is a little bit of a catch-all terminology there. I think maybe more specifically what you're referring to, Gabe, might be like TensorFlow or using like the underlying architectures and, the basics of the machine learning. I would say TinyML more is the practice of machine learning with TensorFlow Lite or perhaps other, implementations, Onyx as well, or PyTorch or whatever.
Is it kind of like saying like ChatGPT uses OpenAI?
Well, OpenAI is the company in that.
No. Yeah.
Maybe to comment. So obviously, Edge Impulse is a ML ops tool that allows you to build models, and then one of its original founding targets are constrained devices. So TinyML is a paradigm. It's running ML models on a low power constrained microcontroller with limited memory and no OS. So Edge Impulse is a tool that allows you to build ML models and actually deploy them. Because Edge Impulse has the optimized, they've also got Eon compiler, which also takes your model and enhances it more to run on. And obviously all the integrations with all the different boards makes it easy for you. Like I was just recently working with that DRP thing, and if you try to understand how to deploy, like if you ever use if anybody's ever used the OpenVINO type stack where you build for the Intel chip Movidius, you've got to prepare your data, run it through. You've got to understand the whole workflow. Edge Impulse is one click because they code it in the back end for you, and if they create a deployment for a new board, then the engineers they will actually develop the integration and the actual deployment pipeline, and you just literally deploy it to your board or integrate it into your application without having to understand the intricacies of all your boards. So it's a deep topic. And I think also, but Edge Impulse is not just for TinyML. I'm sure David will agree. It can be used for any ML workflow.
Okay. Yeah. And when you say deploy to boards, you don't mean like beefy things like Jetson or Nanos or things like that. You mean lighter weight, like Picos type, right?
Yeah, traditionally. And so that's why I think, and I like the word paradigm, Peter. So I think that's a good way to think of it. It's more holistic when you're referring to TinyML. Versus, I think, what the original question was, Gabe. So, the bulk of the, I don't know if I want to say marketing, but the awareness that we create and produce is geared towards TinyML and small devices, microcontrollers, Cortex-M series class devices. The platform, though, does have the ability. There are people using Raspberry Pis, Jetsons, and then more enterprise-grade targets. So people will prototype on a Raspberry Pi, but when you go out to deploy to a production facility of, like Peter's referring to, factories and industrial IoT and things like that, then you use more enterprise-grade hardware. But yeah, Cortex-A class devices work totally fine. There's a Linux runner that will download the model to the board, and if there's an NPU that can be leveraged or a GPU that can be leveraged, like on a Jetson, then we can accelerate via that. But you can also run on CPU. CPU inferencing is many times just fine.
Yeah. What's interesting? I actually tested, David, on the ARM virtual hardware. I've tested on a virtual Pi. I think it was the TensorFlow object detection workflow with the Edge Impulse runner. It actually ran, obviously that's in CPU, in an emulated CPU. It actually ran pretty well, like almost real time. So they've done some cool stuff in the back end. And I think what the guys have done, what I see at Edge Impulse is not just create a deployment, some understanding of the parameters and the types of optimizations you have to do, even not just in your model, but even when you train in your features, when you extract. So for example, time series data like audio. The specific presets that they've put in for when you select the spectrogram to generate features and those kind of things, where they've actually found the sweet spot that'll work well for that type of model. Whereas if you're doing it on your own, you'd have to go and do it, trial and error, test it, try again. So you'll see when you connect a device into Edge Impulse, if the device is supported, for example, if it's like the seed board, whatever, you'll find that there'll be presets in the sampling rates, in those kind of parameters in actual captioning data that's been optimized for that board and for that type of model that you're building. So there's a lot of domain knowledge built in, so it makes it a lot better if you're trying to do it yourself, because then you'll spend that's why you can do it in 5 to 15 minutes. You can build something which might take you a week on your own.
So I want to bring this back to blues for a minute. All right, David, you have a device on your desk. I think you were saying that we might walk through something here because we only have about 7 minutes left. So I wouldn't mind at least hearing a little bit more about this device, the cool stuff that you've built here, and how it applies to Edge Impulse and Blues, and then maybe Rob can talk to it a little bit after you show it off.
Let's see what happens here.
Are you going to be sharing your screen?
Yeah,
okay, this is demo time.
Screens? Let's see how. It's been a while. Let me see.
There should be a button at the bottom.
Let's see here. Have to share. Let's see what happens here. Window.
And while you're doing that, I'm just going to bring up a couple things here, Dave, while you get set up. So Ryan from the YouTube says, this is back to our low code, no code discussion, is I think the low code tools will be used to hasten things such as prototyping to improve productivity, but in the final products will still need to be coded. Good point. And I kind of like this one right here from Mark. He says, AI computes in the box. Humans can think outside the box. All right, I like that too. That's cool. And then here we have something from Michael Hall. AI prompt engineered is where I think this is all going. Technically no code, low code, but also still engineering.
Yeah, prompts really are an art form.
Yeah.
All right. Are you able to see
the stream like that?
Yeah. That's perfect. Okay, so you can see I have on the table a Raspberry Pi. It's a little bit difficult to see. The top of it is a note carrier. This is underneath the fan. Unfortunately, we can't see exactly the little Blues modem sitting under that fan.
Yeah, just to clarify, the note carriers are a line of carrier boards. They're development boards that people can plug one of our note cards, which is our cellular system on module, into. Just makes it easier to prototype, like David's doing.
Yeah.
You don't want to bring Superman into the.
Oh, he's going to come in. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. And what I have is a little Python application that performs inferencing on this Seed Grove Vision AI. So I just started the application. It's not doing anything yet, but let's see. Okay, here comes Superman. I don't know if he's in frame. I can't actually see StreamYard at this point. I don't know if he's there.
Yeah, just don't let him kill Superman, eh?
Yeah. Now we'll see some inferencing results come in. It thinks it's Batman. This is definitely, there we go. Okay, so now we can see inferencing is being done. You can see the confidence value, the XY coordinates. So I have a model that's already been built and trained, and it can detect Superman pretty accurately. Now, what's interesting here is you can see actually at the top right of my Raspberry Pi desktop, not the low voltage warning, that's because it's plugged into my laptop, but above that, I have Wi-Fi turned off, and you can also see that there's no Ethernet plugged in. So I am transmitting data over cellular. I don't have any other connectivity beyond that. Now let me switch my screen share. Let's see here. So stop sharing, and I want to come to, hey, Superman was in frame. That's good. Let me present share screen and come over to a different window. Let's see if we get this. All right, can you add my screen share? Gabe Robert. Okay. So this was the project actually I had running. But what I just did a moment ago while I was holding that camera was send results over that cellular link to a Ubidots dashboard. I may have to zoom in a little closer here. Yeah, come on, come a little closer. So I was streaming those inference results that you saw from the console over the Blues link and sending only the data. So we had 119 Superman detections. We had 9 Batmans, which were clearly incorrect, but that's because my model is not the most robust model. And the confidence level, the last confidence level. In fact, you know what? That's still running. Let's see if we can get some live. Yep, there we go.
Hey.
We can see it update live.
It's pretty quick.
Come on. Yeah, it is pretty quick, actually. Come on, where is he? There he is. So yeah, you can see some results streaming in across that Blues note card. So that actually worked. Our prayers to the demo gods were successful.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
This is a great example. I mean, I think some people might be confused why like Blues is on this call with Edge Impulse, but I feel really strongly, me and internally, we talk about this at Blues all the time, that TinyML is the future of the IoT.
Yeah.
Full stop,
And so,
right?
you know, the real talking point, aside from the connectivity there, is that, okay, I was doing that inferencing on a microcontroller, which is insane in and of itself. But I was not sending the pictures over the cellular link. I'm only sending a tiny, tiny bit of data, just the fact that it was Superman who was detected. If you need to stream video, I mean, there's different options for that, and maybe maybe you do need a Jetson Nano or even stronger type of device, and you probably want to switch to wireless or Ethernet for something like that. But for inferencing at the edge, this is a perfect way to visualize and set up a project and prototype a project.
And also what's cool about that is David could ship that to me now as is without any mods. I could plug it into my laptop now, point to the wall. It'll work. I don't have to go and fight with a carrier about subscriptions.
Nope.
Anywhere in the world, it'll work. So you can ship your prototype to anybody and they can use it with Blues.
So that's amazing. I want to be conscious that we've reached the top of the hour here. I'm really glad we got the demo going. There is one last question here, and it is for Michael Hall. Are there any project examples doing this over LoRaWAN instead of cellular?
Rob Lauer, you probably have some. I personally do not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we work with a lot of folks in Europe who are like more focused on LoRaWAN, especially in more urban areas, and that's great. Now, we don't offer any LoRaWAN products at Blues, but I can assure you, like what you saw David do today is absolutely doable over LoRaWAN. That's another like really good high latency, low bandwidth kind of solution.
Yeah.
But you also have this one as well, which isn't LoRaWAN, it's just LoRa modulation. But
Sparrow.
Sparrow is. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, gentlemen, this is the end of the hour. Each get one shameless plug. You made it. Does anyone want to forward someone somewhere? A charity, a link to your website? You tell us. We'll make sure it's included in the description. Rob, let's start with you.
Yeah, no, we have a lot to share. I would just say our go to blues.dev. That's our technical site for developers. You can learn anything you want to learn with the note card there. We actually have a note card simulator that lets you play around with the note card API. It's basically the note card.
Dev.blues, you mean? Dev.blues.io?
Blues.dev, it resolves to dev.blues.io. We're slowly but surely migrating domains. So yeah. Okay.
So yes, and this is the one we're talking about right here. Everyone go check out dev.blues.io or blues.dev. I couldn't get the blues.dev because it forwarded it right to this.
Yeah.
Excellent. What about you, Peter? Anything you'd like to? We posted blues.dev in the chat as well. Peter, you got anything you want to forward people to?
Not really at the moment. My website's down. I'm actually changing my name to Ingenuity AIoT. So I used to have ingenuityiot.com, but I'm probably gonna I've got another domain. I'm just trying to so I don't have any domains now to plug. But I'll plug Blues and Edge Impulse, and yeah, All right, cool.
and Edge Impulse. David, and then over to you. Last but not least, what do we got?
Oh, I'll just plug. I wrote this project up literally just yesterday. This one that I just showed. So there's a tutorial. There's a how-to
guide. Am I allowed to share that?
Yeah, I just dropped it into the private chat. It's a giant long link. Just copy paste it in. So grab it from there. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, you can check that out. You can replicate it. You don't have to use Batman and Superman. You can use any object you want. It doesn't matter. It's just build a model that detects an item and send results to the cloud.
So I guess this brings up a good point. Like, I mean, probably the best point of this entire call. Why DC characters and not Marvel characters?
I originally had Spider-Man in my Amazon shopping cart, but I thought, I think I'm a Batman kind of guy. So
gotcha. All right, cool. Well, gentlemen, Gabe, last things before.
If you're not already a part of our ARM developer program, then go ahead and sign up. Usually the last thing. And the other thing is we're definitely going to have all three of you on again, because that time just it ended way too soon.
Yeah, we need to call just about Blues, one just about Edge Impulse again, and then one about Ingenuity AIoT if you end up switching over that. But yeah, cool. All right, well then, with your permission, I'm going to close this out, if that's okay with all of you.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you very much for all three of you, spending this time with us. It really means the world. I'm hoping that, looks like Peter already dropped. But yeah, thank you so much, David, Peter, Rob from Blues, David from Edge Impulse, Peter from Ingenuity IoT, everyone watching online. Again, if you enjoyed this, please make sure that you, I think Peter just joined back in.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. Just if anyone, if you like this show, make sure you hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the ARM Software Developer YouTube channel. We're back every single Thursday at 5 p.m. UTC. Again, as Gabriel mentioned here, make sure you check out the ARM Developer Program. Go check out Edge Impulse. Go check out Blues.io. Go check out the dev.blues over on their documentation area and all the cool stuff that they have going on for their developer ecosystem. And of course, when we get some more information with regards to Peter's website, we'll get that posted as well in the description. We'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.